In this video, we are focusing on getting the behavior you would like in your child. There is some behavior you want your child to do that he never seems to do or does not do very much. For example, the behavior might be speaking nicely or being gentle with a sibling or a pet. Or this can also mean there's a behavior your child does a lot that you don't want him to do at all or so often. An example might be tantrums or talking back to you. So how does one get the behaviors one wants? In another video, I talked about shaping, and that was one way to get the behavior you want. In this video, we will talk about another way, and this technique may be one of the more surprising. It is referred to as simulation. Some background. Before defining what simulation is, it is useful to insert a reminder about the techniques we are discussing in all of the videos. The techniques work because they increase practice of the behaviors we wish to develop. Practice here means getting the child to do the behavior over again several times. That practice builds habits, literally changes the brain in terms of learning to do the behavior. With that background in mind, simulation will make more sense. So what is simulation? Simulation consists of making up practice opportunities to engage the behavior in game-like, role play, and pretend situations. Simulations mean doing the behavior under artificial conditions. One repeatedly practices the behavior under these artificial or pretend circumstances. The effect is to build the behavior, and the behaviors carry over to real situations, including those you wish to change. In most of the videos, I've described one tool at a time that can be part of your behavior change toolkit. In talking about simulation, we'll need to put together a few of these tools to develop behavior. We'll be using antecedents, something before the behavior to make it more likely. We'll be focusing on the behavior, how we design the situation to get the exact behaviors you want, and we'll focus on consequences, what comes after the behavior, and usually that will be praise. Now, before talking about parenting and child rearing, it's important to mention that you already know about simulation. And I'm guessing you are happy that simulation is used and that is effective. Consider commercial airline pilots for a moment. Of course, pilots are trained to fly in real airplanes and for thousands of hours. Yet they also need to learn behaviors that cannot be practiced in real planes because those situations do not occur very much and they're too dangerous. Even so, they do need to have repeated practice to develop behaviors in those special situations, usually in which something goes wrong in the flight or there's horrible weather, something like that. So where do they go? They go into a simulator, a fake cockpit where they can repeatedly practice how to handle difficult situations. The situations are presented to them in an artificial way. There's no real danger. They can make a mistake while they are learning, and there's no catastrophe. The key in the simulator for an airline pilot, as in our parenting technique, is repeated practice. The behaviors the pilots develop in a simulator carry over to other situations when they are in real planes and when it is not pretend. For simulation to be effective, it is not only what you do, but how you do it. The how is extremely important, and I will mention techniques from earlier videos. Let us say our child has horrible tantrums. He whines, shouts, gets on the floor, and may even hit us or throw things. Our first step, what is the behavior we want to change? Well, getting upset is reasonable, but we want a tantrum that is not so explosive. So we have as our goal having more of a calm tantrum, which means not hitting of mommy or daddy, no throwing things, and no shouting. Now we are going to explain the game to your child. Choose a time of the day when everyone is calm and there is no tension or argument. Go to the child and say, "Billy, I have a game I want to show you. It's called the tantrum game. It's just pretend, and here's how it works. I'm going to tell you that you can't do something. I will say, you can't watch TV tonight, but this is just pretend. You can really watch TV later. I just want to pretend that you can't do it. Billy, after I say you can't watch TV, it's your turn to have a pretend tantrum. You can say no, you can get mad, you can fold your arms, but no hitting of mommy, no throwing things, and no shouting. You are just pretending to get mad. Now ask if your child understands the game and even model or actually show the reaction that you'd like to mean a calm tantrum that you're looking for, just to be really clear. Now, play the game. You say, okay, Billy, let's practice. Now you lean over to Billy and you smile. And you remember these antecedents will help you get the behavior. Now you say, Billy, you can't watch TV tonight. Now you really can. Let's see if you can have a calm tantrum without hitting, throwing things, or shouting. So Billy gets mad and says, no, and he folds his arms and looks away from you. Because he did it the way you said, or very close to that, move to the fourth step here and praise this effusively. You say, Billy, that was fabulous. You got mad, but you stayed calm. You did not scream, hit, or shout. That is great. Now add a gentle touch or something physical or affectionate to Billy. Now you can incorporate points as a reward for having a good tantrum during the game, but special praise should work here and be just as effective all by itself. Now, because practice is so key, we want Billy to do this calm tantrum one more time. So a fifth step you can use is to get repeated practice by having a playful challenge, which is another example of an antecedent. So in a playful way, you say, now, Billy, it is probably too hard to do one more calm tantrum, and I'm not sure you're big enough to actually really do that. Now say this with a mischievous, playful look and pretend doubt. Usually Billy says, oh, I can do it. Let me do one more. And you say again, I don't know, Billy, are you sure? And of course, Billy does it. You repeat the sequence one or two more times to practice, and that locks into behaviors. Sometimes I have even given a challenge to get a third practice by saying, no one on this planet could do it 3 times in a row, so let's not even try. And of course, the child really wants to do that. So let us recap the process again. Simulation includes practice, but includes many more procedures that are less obvious. First, you select the behavior you want to change and think about how you can make that into a game. Second, you explain the game to your child. And when you do this, lean over, smile, call it pretend, and choose a time when everyone is calm. All of those are antecedents, things that come before the behavior that makes the behavior much more likely to happen. When you explain the game, you say exactly what you want to see, and you may even model that behavior. Third, right after you explain the rules, play the game and run through it in a common scenario. Fourth, when your child practices the behavior in the game, you praise it very enthusiastically. Fifth, then we give them a playful challenge to encourage more practice. So what have we accomplished by doing all of this? Well, practice is key. The purpose of simulation and all the techniques outlined in this course is to get your child to practice the desired behaviors repeatedly. With simulations, play the game maybe once a day for at least a week or so. Keep in mind that you do not always need to include the fifth step with the playful challenge each time. The game should always be calm and always be fun. So I've mentioned the tantrum game, but of course this can be used for almost any behavior. So if your child does not get ready for school, play the get ready for school game. And do this at a time where there is no anxiety or tension or pressure. Maybe begin the game on a Saturday, and during the week do it after dinner, but at a time where there's no real pressure to get ready for school. Do this in the child's bedroom and pretend to get dressed and show the child how to act this out if needed. If your child does not go to bed on time, make this a going to bed game and do that in the morning in the living room, or have the child pretend to go to bed by actually going to his room and to the bathroom to brush his teeth. This is all pretend and act it all out. Remember, make it fun, no nagging, no pressure. Praise all the good parts you see in the child's behavior. Now, there's some common questions that come up in discussing simulations. This all seems so artificial and fake. How can it teach behavior that will be used in everyday situations? Well, practice builds the habit and does carry over. The carryover is evident, as I said, in training pilots, soldiers, doctors, nurses, astronauts. It carries over to everyday situations. A second question that comes up, how often should I play the game? Well, if you can do 1 time per day, that would be great. It doesn't have to be perfect. And when you practice that 1 time, I would include a challenge. So after the child does the behavior in the game, say, I bet you can't do this twice in a row. Want to try? I don't think you can do it. That gives another practice opportunity. And of course, really critical, when you see the behavior that you want outside of the tantrum game, be sure to praise those instances. That will just make it so you can stop the game much sooner. Remember, each video discusses a tool to change behavior, but more than one tool can be used to make the changes you want. Simulation actually combines a number of tools, including the use of antecedents, praise, point programs, and developing positive opposites. There is a separate video on each of these, and you may want to look at those. Simulation is very effective because it emphasizes the point of all the techniques, namely, to have a person repeatedly practice the desired behavior. Repeated practice builds habits and changes the brain to reflect these newly acquired behaviors. Our tools for these videos are not a temporary fix. The use of the tools is temporary, but the changes in child behavior remain after you develop the behavior. We will have more tools in other videos.